Imagine that I gave children the opportunity to move in space while imagining something very light, and they were going to move it with their pinky, walking about the room. Here is the prompt. Children, as you listen to the music, I want you to imagine something very light, and I want you to move it about the room with your pinky. And so on and so on and so on. So now the music is playing and the children are moving about the room. Remember, your job is to watch, kind of crowd control from time to time, making sure that children are not doing what they shouldn't be, that they're all following the expectations, and you're looking, you're observing. You're finding several children, possibly more, who are moving in an interesting way that piques your imagination. The movement activity ends, the children come back to the central location, and you begin to engage them in a conversation such as, Maya, what were you thinking about as you were moving about the room? I was thinking about a feather. George, what were you thinking about as you were moving about the room? I was thinking about a balloon. Javier, what were you thinking about as you were moving about the room? I was thinking of a pillow. And so on and so on and so on. You have many ideas out there and you select one. The following are questions about a balloon. Let's see what the children come up with. If you had a balloon, where would it take you?
To China.
If you had a balloon, where would it take you?
To outer space.
If you had a balloon, where would it take you?
To Disney World.
If you had a balloon, where would it take you?
To my Nana's house.
If you had a balloon, where would it take you?
To the sky.
At this point, the plausibility or implausibility of a child's response is irrelevant. The idea is that they're thinking, they're offering a suggestion or offering their ideas, which are taken at face value, respected in that regard. And then from there, it is our job, it is your job, to figure out how that answer works into the bigger picture. And in this case, it's going to be mathematics. Sky, Nana's house, Disney World, China, and outer space. They're all connected somehow. If a child is going to outer space, it really can't be plausible because of things that we know. But the child doesn't know that, and it really doesn't matter at this point. It's a conversation about concepts in mathematics. You can get a child to understand or begin to understand the basic concepts regarding distance or time or speed. And I pick those three because it's a balloon taking someone someplace. So we have a central point of where we're taking off and going someplace else. And each one is a distance. Each one is going to take a certain amount of time and a certain speed, and the time goes into that. The idea here is that these are all variables. There's no constant. All of these things vary, and because of that, the child has to think on more than one concrete level. And I know Piaget may not like what I'm saying here, and these are my thoughts about how we need to engage children in conversations. Because distance is something that can be divided into parts and pieces, as in halves and quarters and wholes and all that, it could be that when you're halfway to Nana's house, where would you be? And Nana's house is a very good example because it is a concrete, for this particular child, a very concrete place that she has traveled to Nana's house and might know about halfway between here and there we should be over X spot. Now, if it's Disney World, they probably don't know a lot about geography, so they don't know what city or town or place that they might be over halfway to. And then China, they may not know either. But you might bring out a globe and say, okay, here we are, and here's China. Where are we going to be halfway? And they could easily say, we'll be over the ocean. And in outer space, you're on your own. You can also have a conversation about the time it would take to get from here to there, what sort of things are propelling or moving us forward, and then that gets into science, but we're still on mathematics. And then speed is relevant to or in a relation between the weight of whoever or whomever is being carried by the balloon and how you're being propelled. Do you have a rocket pack? Do you have a propeller? Are you just floating? Those things need to be taken into consideration. And if those things need to be taken into consideration, that is critical logical thinking. No, we're not working with one-to-one correspondence here. We're working with something a lot more challenging cognitively. You have to consider things that are varied. And some children may be ready for this. These are the 4-year-olds that you saw in this video, and so maybe they're not. But maybe one of them is. And if one of them is, that child needs this conversation. We have to have conversations that meet every child's needs. Having a conversation about the variability of an idea is a great way to get kids to start thinking about different things. And finally, remember that Listen, Move, Think is not about mastering an answer on a test. It is about engaging children in intelligent conversations, meaningful conversations based on ideas that are meaningful to them.